Olivia called Grace Monroe and demanded a meeting. They met at a quiet cafe downtown, the kind where conversations disappeared under jazz music. Grace looked older, tired, her usual poise cracked. "You found the files," she said softly. Olivia nodded. "Tell me everything." Grace stirred her coffee slowly. Marcus wanted Helena gone. She was pregnant, and he thought the baby was his. But when he found out she'd chosen your father instead, things got dark. Olivia's throat tightened. "So Marcus killed her?" Grace looked up, eyes glistening. "Not exactly. He hired someone to scare her. It went wrong. Ethan covered it up to protect you." The words hit Olivia like a punch. Everyone she trusted was guilty in some way. "You shouldn't have spoken to Grace. She can't protect you anymore." Her heart stopped. She called Grace, but no answer. Then she saw the news alert. Grace Monroe found dead in her office, apparent suicide. Olivia dropped her phone, trembling. She ran to her father's room, shouting his name, but his bed was empty. The glass door to the balcony stood open, the curtains blowing wildly in the ocean wind. A note lay on the nightstand in her father's handwriting. "Don't look for me. It's the only way to keep you safe." Her blood ran cold. Ethan Lawson was gone. The police called it a voluntary disappearance, but Olivia knew better. Her father didn't run. He was taken. She spent hours reviewing security footage from the estate, and at 2:13 a.m., she saw it. A black car pulling up to the back gate. 2 men in suits. No struggle, no sound. Ethan simply got in and vanished. The license plate was untraceable. Olivia's chest tightened. Marcus. It had to be him. She replayed the video again and again, her reflection flickering across the screen like a ghost. She whispered to herself, "You started this, Dad. Now I'll finish it." 3 days after Ethan's disappearance, Olivia walked into Lawson Industries headquarters wearing her mother's old emerald earrings and a cold new determination. The board members murmured as she entered. Marcus Hale sat at the head of the table, smiling like a serpent in a suit. "Ms. Lawson," he greeted. "How unexpected." Olivia slid a folder across the table. Not unexpected, overdue. Inside were copies of Project Phoenix and the falsified contracts linking Marcus to the offshore accounts. His smile faltered for the first time. "You have no idea what you're doing," he hissed. "Actually," she said, "I'm just getting started." As she walked out, she caught her reflection in the glass. She no longer saw the daughter of a billionaire. She saw his successor. As Olivia left the building, a black SUV rolled slowly behind her down Wilshire Boulevard. At first, she thought it was coincidence, until it followed her through 3 red lights. Her hands tightened on the wheel. She took a sudden right turn into a parking garage, jumped out, and hid behind a column. The SUV parked 2 levels down. 2 men stepped out, same suits, same earpieces as in the security footage. Her pulse pounded in her ears. She waited for them to pass, then slipped out the back exit and ran toward the crowded street. Her phone buzzed a known number again. A text appeared. "You're smarter than your father, but not fast enough." That night, Olivia locked herself in her father's study again, searching for anything he left behind. Inside his leather briefcase, hidden beneath layers of financial reports, she found a tiny USB drive taped under the flap. She plugged it into his old desktop. A single file appeared, Helena Truth, MP4. The video opened with Ethan's voice, recorded weeks before his disappearance. "If you're watching this, Olivia, I couldn't tell you everything. Helena's death wasn't just Marcus's doing. It was part of something larger. Lawson Industries was never only mine. There are others, and they'll come for you now." Olivia's heart dropped. The screen glitched, revealing a logo she didn't recognize. Orion Group. She whispered the name like a curse. Olivia arranged a secret meeting with a journalist who claimed to know about the Orion Group. They met at the Roosevelt Hotel downtown. She waited in the lobby cafe, nerves on edge. The journalist never showed, but a man in a black coat did. He reached into his jacket, and instinct kicked in. Olivia flipped the table and ran as a silence shot cracked the air. Glass shattered. Screams erupted. She sprinted up the back staircase, clutching the USB drive. Heart racing, she ducked into a laundry corridor. The man's footsteps echoed closer. Just as he turned the corner, someone grabbed her arm. Marcus. "Come with me if you want to live," he whispered. For the first time, she couldn't tell if he was saving her or setting the stage. Marcus drove her through the city without a word until they reached a secluded villa in the Hollywood Hills. Inside, computers lined the walls, files covered every surface. "You're being hunted by Orion," Marcus said flatly. "Your father tried to expose them. That's why he's gone." Olivia crossed her arms. "And your part in all this?" Marcus sighed. "I made mistakes. But Helena's death wasn't supposed to happen. They silenced her to protect the company's shadow investors." Olivia glared at him. "You expect me to trust you?" He looked at her, eyes heavy with guilt.
"No.
"I expect you to survive." And for the first time, Olivia realized they both feared the same enemy. Olivia sat in the dim safe house while Marcus loaded another flash drive. The monitors flickered, revealing encrypted files her father had recorded, audio logs labeled Project Helena. Ethan's voice came through, strained and fearful. "They're building something under the foundation. It's not just money, it's data. Orion wants full control of the global logistics net. And if Helena talks, they'll kill her and me." Olivia froze. Her mother's death wasn't an accident, it was execution. Her breath hitched. Marcus rubbed his temples, whispering. He recorded everything. He knew they'd come. Olivia leaned closer to the speaker. Ethan's final words crackled through static. "If I disappear, tell Olivia the key wasn't for my legacy, it's for her freedom." At dawn, Marcus's security feed flashed red. Location breached. Black SUVs tore up the hillside road. "They found us," he shouted. Olivia grabbed the encrypted drives, stuffing them into her backpack. They sprinted through the back exit as bullets shattered glass. They jumped into Marcus's car and sped down the twisting road toward Silver Lake. Helicopters thundered overhead. Marcus swerved through traffic while Olivia hacked into her father's hidden cloud drive from the passenger seat. "Almost there," she gasped. "We just need 2 more minutes." He gritted his teeth. "We don't have 2 minutes." She looked up at him, then out the window, as a helicopter spotlight locked on their car. They ditched the car and fled into an abandoned train yard as rain began to pour. Olivia's breath came in short gasps. "We have to upload the files," she said. Marcus nodded but hesitated, too long. She turned, realizing his phone was still on. A tracker blinked faintly on the screen. "You led them here," she whispered. His expression was pained. "I had no choice. They have grace." Thunder rolled across the yard. She took a step back, clutching her bag. "You betrayed me." His voice cracked. "I betrayed them first." Before she could respond, headlights flared through the rain. Black SUVs again. She ran, water splashing, while Marcus faced the gunman alone. Olivia found shelter inside an old signal tower. Her hands trembled as she connected her laptop to a satellite modem Marcus had slipped into her pocket before staying behind. On screen, a folder decrypted itself, labeled Ghost. Inside, she found a single line of code. When she ran it, the monitor lit up with a live feed from a secret underground facility, coordinates pointing to the Nevada desert. A shadowy figure stepped into view. It was Ethan.
Alive.
His voice came through the speakers. "Olivia, if you can hear me, Orion has me. But the files you hold can destroy them. Trust no one, except the woman with the silver scar." The feed cut to black. Olivia followed the Nevada coordinates to an abandoned data compound hidden beneath desert dust. Inside, a woman waited, tall, severe, with a silver scar running down her jaw. "I'm Grace Monroe," she said softly. Olivia froze. "My father's lawyer?" Grace nodded. "And his last protector." She handed Olivia a worn folder stamped, Orion Internal. "Your father discovered they're using global logistics to move surveillance AI under cover of trade shipments. He tried to stop it." Olivia's eyes burned with tears. "He's still alive," she whispered. Grace nodded grimly.
For now.
But the moment they finish uploading his access keys, he won't be. Olivia clenched her fists. Then we end this tonight. Grace's SUV sliced through the Nevada desert night, headlights bouncing across the dunes. Olivia sat beside her, eyes fixed on the horizon where a faint cluster of red lights blinked in the distance. The Orion facility. Marcus lay in the back seat, half conscious, his shirt stained from the gunfight. "You sure about this?" Grace asked. "He's my father," Olivia replied quietly. "I can't lose him again." As they neared the compound, drones zipped overhead. Grace killed the lights, driving blind with military precision. "We get in, we take Ethan, and we burn their network to ash," she said. Olivia glanced at Marcus in the mirror. He opened his eyes, whispering, "Or we die trying." They reached the perimeter at 3:02 a.m. Grace led the way, moving like a ghost through the sand. Olivia followed, clutching the encrypted drive. Marcus trailed behind, limping but armed. The facility's metal walls rose from the earth, like a buried city. Grace disabled the sensors and cut through a side hatch. Inside, cold air hit them, smelling of steel and secrets. Servers hummed like distant thunder. Olivia's pulse quickened. "He's in there," Grace whispered, pointing toward a glass chamber at the center. Ethan Lawson, alive, but restrained, tubes running from his arms into a terminal glowing with Orion's logo. Olivia stepped forward. "Dad," she breathed. His eyes opened slowly. "You shouldn't have come." Ethan's voice was weak, each word dragged through pain. "They're uploading my neural key, my memories. Once it's done, they own everything I built." Olivia's hands trembled as she pulled the drives from her bag. "I can override it." Grace typed furiously on a console, while Marcus covered the corridor. Alarms blared. Red lights flashed. "They know we're here," Marcus yelled. Grace shouted over the noise. "Olivia, the only way to stop the upload is to trigger a full system overload." Ethan's eyes widened. "That'll destroy everything, including me." Tears filled Olivia's eyes. "You gave me this key to be free, not to bury you." He smiled faintly. "Then make it count." Bullets tore through the hallways as Olivia hit the manual override. Sparks exploded across the servers. The entire room glowed red, power surging through the floors. Ethan's chamber cracked open, glass shattering as he fell forward. Olivia caught him, sobbing. "Dad, hold on." He looked up at her, a faint smile crossing his bruised face. "You're stronger than I ever was." Marcus fired down the corridor, shouting, "They're breaching." Grace dragged Ethan toward the exit. Olivia turned one last time, watching Orion's massive mainframe ignite, flames reflected in her eyes like vengeance made real. Everything her father built was ending, and she was the one ending it. The sun rose over the desert, painting the sand gold and crimson. The facility burned behind them, smoke curling into the sky like the end of an era. Ethan lay on a stretcher, weak but alive. Marcus sat beside him, bleeding but smiling. Grace leaned against the SUV, watching Olivia silently. Olivia stood apart, staring at the horizon. "He built an empire," she said softly, "but it almost destroyed us all." Ethan's voice came faintly. "No, Olivia, it built you." She turned, tears in her eyes, realizing that for the first time in her life, her father had truly fulfilled her need, not with money, but with truth. She smiled faintly. "The billionaire's promise," she whispered, "was never about gold. It was about freedom. They said once you destroy an empire, you lose everything with it. But Olivia Lawson learned that sometimes you have to lose the world to find yourself." Weeks after the explosion in the Nevada desert, she sat in silence on the balcony of a quiet Los Angeles hospital, watching the morning light spread across the skyline her father once owned. Ethan was alive, but weak, his body healing, his mind clearer than ever. For the first time, he spoke without the weight of wealth in his voice. "I built walls to protect you," he whispered, "but all they did was keep you trapped inside my fear." Olivia smiled faintly. "Then let's tear them down together." And that's exactly what she did. She sold off the remnants of Lawson Industries, funnel the funds into rebuilding lives Orion had destroyed, and faced every board, every journalist, every vulture who once saw her as a spoiled billionaire's daughter. She stood at every podium, not as an heiress, but as the woman who burned her own inheritance for justice. Marcus, still recovering, became her silent ally, protecting her from the shadows, while Grace became her partner in rebuilding something better. They called it the Helena Foundation, named after the mother who paid the price for truth. Through it, Olivia funded whistleblowers, investigative journalists, and survivors who had no voice. But not everything was healed. The world still whispered. Some called her a hero, others called her naive. Yet every time she looked at her reflection, she saw the same fierce woman who once stood in her father's boardroom and said, "I'm just getting started." One evening, months later, Olivia received a letter in her father's handwriting. No logo, no seal, just words from a man who'd lost everything but finally found peace. "You fulfilled my greatest failure, Olivia. You turned the name Lawson from a symbol of greed into a promise of change." She held the letter against her chest, eyes filled with quiet tears. She missed the man who once controlled her every move, but she loved the one who finally let her be free. The world moved on. The Orion Group collapsed, its leaders vanished or faced trial. But the shadow of power never truly disappears, it only waits. Olivia knew that, and that's why she never stopped. She turned her father's Malibu mansion into an open foundation office, a place where victims could walk in without fear. The marble floors that once echoed with private parties now carried the footsteps of people rebuilding their lives. And every sunset that washed through those glass walls reminded her that legacy isn't about what you leave behind. It's about who you become when no one's watching. Years passed, and one morning, standing before a crowd of young entrepreneurs, Olivia told her story for the first time, not as the daughter of a billionaire, but as a survivor of his silence. Her voice was calm but sharp, her words slicing through every doubt in the room. "Money can buy comfort," she said, "but truth buys freedom. And if you ever find yourself choosing between being safe and being honest, choose the one that hurts, because pain builds something comfort never will." As the audience rose to their feet, Olivia stepped off the stage, her mind flashing back to the first night, the key, the mansion, the ocean breeze, and her father's eyes heavy with secrets. That silver key still hung around her neck, not as a reminder of her past, but as proof that, even in chains, she had found her own power to unlock. And as she looked into the cameras, her voice dropped to a whisper that felt like it was meant for you. Because this story isn't just about a billionaire or his daughter. It's about you, the one watching this right now, wondering what your truth is worth. Would you burn comfort to find freedom? Would you tear down everything you know to rebuild something real? If you were Olivia Lawson, would you have turned the key or walked away?